Ben Johnson.
Yes.
I openly discussed my fear of losing him, not just for what this team is now, but what it can be in the future. Mm-hmm. And for my fandom with Dan Campbell, I feel like Ben Johnson's a crucial piece to all of this. I know some people like to carry the crutch of, Dan Campbell called plays last year. Guess whose plays he called, bud?
Yeah.
Ben Johnson's.
Yes.
So I put the boys on a little bit of a homework mission. Who can replace Ben Johnson? I want to be eased with who could fill in that spot. And I guess one by one, you give us one guy, Flannel Sam, give us a guy. We'll go down because I know you got a whole list.
Yeah, I got quite a few candidates.
Give us your number one candidate.
Number one, Sanjay Lal. Sanjay Lal. He is the Seahawks passing game and wide receivers coach. In 2020, he was the wide receivers coach. That's when Lockett and Metcalf went over 1,000 yards each. In 2019, he was the wide receiver coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Cooper and Gallup over 1,100 yards each. In 2017, he was the wide receiver with the Colts. T.Y. Hilton made a Pro Bowl. In 2015, he was the wide receiver coach for the Bills. Sammy Watkins had over 1,000 yards that year. And in 21 through 2014, he was the wide receivers coach for the Jets. And Eric Decker had 74 catches for 962 yards and 5 touchdowns, and Jeremy Curley had 56 catches for 827 yards at 14.8 yards per catch. So this guy knows his business. He knows his offense. He obviously knows how to work with great receivers and how to get the best out of those great receivers. He's been in the league for a while. He's an older guy. I think he's 51, I think, so he's not super old, but he's not super young either. Former player, and he's been all around the league, and he's done great things. So I like Sanjay Lal a lot.
You sold me on him in the back too when you came up. You showed me all that stuff like that. 53 years old. I know that the league's moving towards more innovative minds, but I mean he has an impressive resume. Flannel Sam, who can replace Ben Johnson?
Well, first of all, before I answer that, I'm glad that you're sort of putting it out there that it's possible. Obviously, I don't want to lose Ben Johnson, but a lot of people on a lot of shows are just kind of saying, "Oh yeah, Ben Johnson's coming back no matter what," and I'm like, he's got this Lions team as a top 5 offense. He's going to get interviews. And if Ben Johnson wants to be a head coach, there's only 32 of them in the NFL, and he interviews well, we could lose him at the end of the year. So I want people to get ready for that.
Yes.
But I did find somebody that would give me a little bit of hope if we did lose Ben Johnson, and that is Brian Johnson, quarterbacks coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. And when did he get there? Last season. And last season, Jalen Hurts kind of took that first step. After his rookie year, he didn't start the whole year. People thought he was just a runner. Last year, he wasn't great as a passer, but he showed a lot of improvement. He didn't have a great wide receiving core, and the Eagles went to the playoffs. And then this year, Jalen Hurts has truly taken that step up and been an MVP candidate level quarterback. He has his career high in completion percentage, yards already, touchdown passes already, not in a full season, quarterback rating, and QBR. And I believe that Brian Johnson, you saw what Jalen Hurts was his rookie year. When Brian Johnson came in, I think he had a huge role in helping develop Jalen Hurts. And if you can work with the quarterback, if you can be a part of a team, be a coach on a team that is leading the NFL in scoring, is making their quarterback, who a lot of people originally thought couldn't throw, into an MVP candidate, you got to take a good look at him. And the fact that he's only a quarterback's coach, an offensive coordinator is a promotion. So I think I don't know if it's possible or not, but he is a guy that I would almost write a blank check to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a good sell.
That was a good sell, for sure.
The things I like in it, I'd say to that one is, one, I've obviously been a big proponent of drafting a quarterback at some point. I know that people like Jared Goff. I know that they're, stand put with them, although the team's 7-8. People act like we're the number 1 seed or we've won the division. No, that's not the case. I regardless, I relax my case a little bit. But in drafting a quarterback, even if you don't hit on it, I want at least an athlete at the position. And obviously that's what Jalen Hurts kind of provides there in Philly. I will say this, though, to the, what's the word I'm looking for, devil's advocate.
Yeah.
He is dealing with Devontae Smith. He has an elite offensive line. It is his second year as a starter. Guys naturally kind of progress in that second year. And then you also add in, sprinkle A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in there too.
That helps, but Jalen Hurts, he's not just a good quarterback this year. He is an MVP candidate quarterback on the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL. And you're right, they do have a great offensive line. They have a running game. Jalen Hurts is a big part of that running game. They have a number 1 wide receiver. But just to see Jalen Hurts develop, I mean, you remember what the knock on him was at the beginning of his career. Coming out of college, he's not a good thrower of the football. He looks like a pretty damn good thrower of the football right now. And your quarterback's coach, I think, has a lot to do with it.
I like that name. How old is it? Did you?
I don't know
Zach,
how
is he younger
old
or
he
older
is.
though?
I think he's younger.
Okay, I like that.
Easy. Who's your guy?
Mine is from an article from my guy Justin Rogers of Detroit News. Shout out to Justin, real cool guy, hell of a cook, but sounds like I'm dating him.
Yeah,
That's weird.
hell of a cook, great kisser.
Great hand massage.
Yeah.
Just look at his Tinder profile.
Well, he wrote an article on this. He does like the mailbag segment, which I think we should probably adopt that, do that at some point. But someone asked him, who could replace Ben Johnson in that scenario, and he went the in-house route, and he spoke about this gentleman named Tanner Engstrand, I believe, and wildly enough, he actually spoke with the media today. He's the tight ends coach, took place of Ben Johnson after he was obviously elevated to offensive coordinator. He works hand in hand with Ben Johnson in the pass game. He's also the pass game coordinator.
Yeah.
But he's worked hand in hand with Ben Johnson with the offense. I've obviously asked that, with the guys, Kyle Shanahan, guys can leave him, but he's rooted within that offensive system. It's his system to carry on the legacy with, and which I don't know how much that Tanner has to do with that, but obviously, I don't think Justin brought up his name for no reason. Justin takes his job very seriously. I've seen him around at times where other reporters weren't, just for events for guys. When Kayvon Thibodeau was in town, Justin was the only reporter that showed up to interview him. You know, but that's a guy. He's also a former offensive coordinator for the DC, what is the XFL team, Defenders. Now the numbers aren't pretty for that one. DC Defenders under his reign as offensive coordinator, they ranked last in passing yards with 138 per game, third most in rushing yards with 130, and then the third fewest total yards in general. But I will note this, in terms of him as a coach, Tanner Engstrand, or however you want to say his name, TJ Hawkinson, if I'm not mistaken, had his best game as a Detroit Lion here this year with him as a tight end coach. Yeah. Shane Zylstra coming off a 3-touchdown game. But by the way, the whole tight end room exactly culminating together to make up for the absence. So honestly, probably do more to what TJ did as a solo player too. And then you got to mention too, Brock Wright game-winning touchdown just 2 weeks ago. I mean, I don't know how much credit you want to give him over a guy like Ben Johnson, but the tight end room stepped up in a big way.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why.
Yeah, that's for sure. He's probably the front runner, like you talked about. In-house guy, already knows Dan Campbell is very, groomed in the Ben Johnson offense. I could definitely see that happening. Before we go to break, I do want to mention one more guy that I have on here that also has ties to Dan Campbell. It's Deuce Schwartz. He's a younger guy. He is the 49ers offensive quality control coach. He's the wide receiver coach at Georgia. He did a lot of different things with George Pickens, which obviously George Pickens was crazy that year at Georgia, and now we see what he is in the NFL. And he has done a lot to help that Kyle Shanahan offense, and he studied under Kyle Shanahan a lot. And he has ties to Dan Campbell because in 2017 and 2018, he was the special teams assistant for the New Orleans Saints. So he's been on the same staff as Dan Campbell before, and they're very familiar with each other.
Hey, I want to make one note, I guess, to Tanner Engstrand. I really don't know how to say his name, but if Ben Johnson were to leave, I'd assume that's a guy he's probably gonna take with him, right? I mean, I don't know if it's an offensive coordinator or what, but that's something, no?
I mean, but if you have a chance, if you're Tanner Engstrand to be the offensive coordinator, that would be obviously a upward movement. And you said that he's the passing game coordinator, but he also is the tight ends coach. And I actually have some stats on the tight ends this year. The tight ends combined, this includes TJ Hawkinson's first 7 games on the season, 60 receptions for 742 yards and 10 touchdowns. That is combined a Pro Bowl level tight end. And 3 of those people, 5th round draft pick rookie James Mitchell, undrafted Shane Zylstra, and Brock Wright, who was considered more of a blocking tight end. And in the last game, Shane Zylstra 3 touchdowns. Against the Jets, Brock Wright, game-winning 51-yard touchdown catch. So, I mean, the tight ends have been a strength of this team, and Tanner Engstrand being the passing game coordinator, which Ben Johnson was last year before when he got elevated, and working with the tight ends, I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. He obviously knows the offense. He worked with Ben Johnson very closely. Obviously, you said, we had our guy Noah in the Woodward Sports Chat say he spoke with the media and sounded very intelligent and had very deep-rooted knowledge of the offense, so that's great. Obviously, we love this offense that Ben Johnson has built for the Detroit Lions, and if you had somebody that could kind of get right in there swimmingly, have the offense going as it is now.
Nice.
Thank you.
Swimmingly.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Nerd.
I didn't even think about it. But have this offense humming as it is now.
You just 100%ed us.
100%. Kind of take it in stride. That would be best, obviously.
Take it in stroke. Stride work for swimming too?
Yeah, kind of.
No, I think the numbers that Sam put up, why?
I don't know.
Why? That's not allowed on your side of the table anymore. It's so loud on the microphones. Apologize, everyone. Apologize.
Apologize. He has to literally kiss Jesse Jackson's ass. It's a great episode.
Anyway.
To
the Ben Johnson, the Tanner Estrand situation too. Like before, when we traded T.J. Hawkinson, I think we all kind of shared the same sentiment or same conversation about this not being an offense predicated off the strength of like a tight end and what they produce. But like, given the numbers Sam just gave, 10 touchdowns. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
Jared Goff only has 26, 27 on the season. Like, that's a big chunk of.
It's a lot, especially for, like you said, nobody that's really elite. These are our practice squad guys. These are undrafted free agent guys. Shane Zylstra looked damn good. Brock Wright looks very good in situations. They're scheming these tight ends open on plays that aren't pass-catching guys. Shane Zylstra's kind of a pass-catching guy, but he's probably the most pass-catching tight end we have, but he's not the highest ceiling or biggest potential guy, but he's out there making plays, and that is in a part to Tanner and Ben Johnson helping scheme these guys open.
And I want to emphasize on like the positions that the Detroit Lions grabbed these guys too, like James Mitchell, which by the way, I should have tweeted 2 weeks ago, but I'm like, I kind of like the potential this kid's showing. But James Mitchell, 5th round pick, Shane Zylstra, undrafted. I think he's been up and down the practice squad this year. At times activated to the active roster, and at times just being a practice squad guy. And then Brock Wright,
Brock Wright was an undrafted free agent too, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
This is not a great group of tight ends on paper once they traded T.J. Hawkinson, but they're making plays. They're playing well, and they're developing. They're developing to the point where they can make impact plays in winning plays. Like Brock Wright, that was one of the best. I'd probably say one of the best plays, or one of the most important plays by Detroit Lions tight end ever in Detroit Lions history. And
I'd have to deep dive into that, but I don't have the facts to fight you about it.
Right. That's. I know I'm just kind of putting it out there, but did T.J. Hawkinson ever make a play that big?
Did not.
I can't. David Sloan, Brandon
he had a
Pettigrew.
big one against the Seahawks, but we didn't come out on the winning end of it.
And that's the thing.
Big plays then.
And obviously that T.J. Hawkinson game was amazing.
Yeah. But even then, under Tanner Estrand.
And exactly. And he had his best game of his career under Tanner Engstrand. So like that.
There you go, Engstrand.
It's one or the other, but. The point is that the tight ends, believe it or not, even though it doesn't seem like it, even though you're working with Brock Wright, James Mitchell, and Shane Zylstra, have been a strength of this team all year, and it hasn't really slowed down when T.J. Hawkinson left.
Yeah, even the execution on it by Brock Wright in terms of the Jets game, the game-winning play.
Yeah,
C.J. Mosley's a multiple Pro Bowl linebacker.
Yeah,
like one of the best in the league.
He's a dog. Yeah,
he Pro Bowler this year too. Pro before, I believe, with Ravens. He's been a dog his whole career pretty much. For him, Brock Wright, to sell him on the run, the play fake, enough for him to pursue that and to make a play, sneak out, make the. And I had to drop in that same series, but still that's damn good coaching or damn good play by Brock Wright. One or the other.
For his big ass to go unnoticed, like Brock Wright's a big ass dude.
Yeah,
for him to go unnoticed, screaming across the line, like that's impressive too.
Solid block on it too.
Solid block. He's a good player. I like Brock Wright, and I wasn't worried about losing T.J. Hawkinson because I didn't think you need a top tier tight end in this offense with them making plays like this, and it is proven that they don't. Is they can still produce the same that they have throughout the year with lower tier tight ends, and that is a comment to. I'm just going to call him Coach Tanner.
Yeah,
Coach Tanner and Coach Johnson, as these guys are molding them into players. They're molding them and putting them into putting them into situations where they can succeed, putting them into situations where they can go out there and make the best plays, it's impressive because like you guys said, it's like James Mitchell, Brock Wright, Shane Zylstra, these aren't world beaters by any sense of the term. These aren't even top tier backups that you would want on your team, but they're making them go out there, putting them in situations where they can execute. Not a lot is asked of them, and they're scheming them to victory.
And some of it too, I guess again, I'm just playing devil's advocate because I just want to think this whole thing out, right? But is the tight end position being highlighted more with these caliber guys because the defenses necessarily don't know their names? You know what I'm saying? Are they just sneaking by because the league isn't aware of a Brock Wright yet? The league isn't aware of a Shane Zylstra or Mitchell?
I think they're, again, no disrespect to these guys. They're performing, but No, these aren't these three tight ends that the Lions have. They're not George Kittle, Travis Kelce's, even Dallas Goddard's or Dawson Knox's. Like they don't have that kind of athleticism and speed or even playmaking ability, but they're stepping up. They're doing what's asked of them. They're doing it as a unit, and it's impressive.